Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is the Pat and Jeff Show. And actually, Pat is traveling today, going to the Awakening Summit in Lynbrook, New York over the weekend. But I'm happy to report we have Jetson White, and he's back with us once again. Jetson, how are you today?
Marvelous, sir. Great to see you.
Yes, same here, same here. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We had so much fun having you here a couple of times. My gosh, 2, 3 times, whatever it was. Oh, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months ago, talking about time travel. But today, I wanted to bring Jetson back because I saw this post. It was a Truth Social post from our president, Donald J. Trump, on April 20th. And it really caught my eye because the photo, as we see here, is a Navy officer, obviously a retired naval officer, in a uniform with some other interesting, I don't know, I wouldn't call them props, but certainly other objects that are in the photo that are also very telling. But we can get into that. But Jetson, thank you for coming on, and tell me what do you think about this video, this show, this post? What did you think about it?
Well, I'm not really in that school of thought. You had mentioned JFK.
Correct.
And, we had a phone conversation, and I believe you were telling me that people think that this might be JFK in the photo.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jetson. I should have teed that up as well. I'm thinking everybody, it's so obvious to everybody. I'm so silly. I don't know better, right? So my first thought was, this is JFK. There's no issue, right? Because of the Tiffany blue box, because of the purple heart that he's holding, and a bunch of other things that led me to believe this. And others have felt the same way. So I wanted to check in with Jetson to see what he thought. So sorry, Jetson, I should have teed that up a little bit better. So you go. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a messenger, and I'm given certain messages and stories that go with those to convey the message. And because of that, my focus is usually narrower than most people's, because I feel like I have the truth with my message. And so I don't look into the other rabbit holes. And so I actually got solid on what I feel happened and why it happened with JFK. And so when I see something like this, I guess there's a little part of me, because we, at this point, we don't know what's real. We don't know what could happen. We've got a president who's doing, 15 miracles a day, and lives on screen so that we can see everything that's going on. And it's just a crazy, crazy world that we live in. It's mad, absolutely mad. So I guess you could say there's a part of me that even if my story is true, which I believe it is, of course, the story I was given that I made a video series on, this could be a possibility just because everything's so mad.
And crazy chaos, right? There's chaos everywhere. Who knows what's real, what's not?
Right.
And what I think the reason why, Patrick and I talked about this, we wanted to present this, was because there are different views. And the point is, we don't want to think for you. Obviously, you have to think for yourselves. But it's just great to present these points of view. And Jetson and I might even have a different perspective on this, and that's all good. So I thought it'd be important to have Jetson come on. He's done a very comprehensive deep dive into the JFK assassination, and like you said, why and how it happened. So I think we should get into that. We can take a look and see what you think, and then I can make some commentary around it. But
that's fantastic. Oh, I think you froze.
Just want the audience to decide for themselves what they believe. But it is interesting. Oops, sorry. And what's also interesting is that the Secretary of the Navy had just resigned.
Yes.
And there was a new gentleman who's coming in as secretary, and his name is he's an Asian gentleman,
Oh, yeah.
Hung Kao, CAO.
Right.
Now, what's compelling about this gentleman, Hung Kao, who's I guess a career Navy person, whatever, who actually was famous because he went on the search in 1999 for JFK Jr.'s plane and remains. So, Jetson, I find it compelling that this photo comes up, prospectively, maybe thinking it is JFK, and yet JFK Jr.'s naval officer that flies around and then dives and tries to find the plane that went down in 1999 comes up on the same week. It's just kind of weird. So again, the chaos that we're presented with, there's order in the chaos. Our job is to kind of point it out and see if there's a connection. So I just wanted to bring that up too. Thought that was
I think it's fascinating, really. When you've got the kind of world we've got. When I first, started receiving these messages, I was extremely narrow. I wouldn't look into anything else. Once I got the full story, and then it's my job to assemble the evidence for that story once I get it, which if you've got the story, it makes finding the evidence much easier, putting the pieces together much easier to say, okay, here's what I've been told happened. Now prove it. Right. Go out and find the evidence that proves it. And I'm always able to do that, thank God. And so it's just, this is not part of my story. But that doesn't mean, I used to think that meant that, there could be nothing else but my story, right? But because the world has gone so mad, I'm now getting more and more open to believing that there could be other aspects of the story in this silo over here. My story's in this silo, and it's true. But there could be other aspects like this that...
Understood. And I think that's the beauty of what the White Hats are doing. It's not supposed to be easily figured out, whatever it is, whatever the truth really is. It's supposed to take us down these rabbit holes. It's supposed to create some chaos. And there's supposed to be some organized thought process to get through the chaos. And I think, it's a process, and they're taking us all through that process. And some of us are further ahead in the continuum than others. But it doesn't mean, and in fact, there even could be multiple truths. I don't know. People talk about...
That's exactly what I'm saying. There could be multiple truths, which is insane to me. But we live in an insane world. So it's like, if you want to be part of all this, you've got to be open to that insanity.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. And I hope the audience, and I think at this point, the audience has been kind of groomed, so to speak, a terrible term, but, Patrick and I have been doing this show almost a year now.
Congratulations. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're getting close to a year. And the point is, it's always been bringing up things that make you think. Is it outrageous? A lot of the time, yes. Is it? Does it make sense a lot of the time? No. Is it all possible? Maybe. That's really up to folks to figure out. So Jetson, shall we go down this rabbit hole a little bit more, perhaps?
Oh, I say we should.
All right, let's go to slide. There we go. There's your next slide.
Let's zoom that slide in.
All right, let's see if I can.
You can use the control scroll. That might work.
Yeah. Let's see if I can make it bigger. There we go.
All right. You. So let's see. This is the series that came out of a message I started receiving in 2018. And I call it the definitive JFK expose. And meaning this is the definitive story of the JFK assassination. And as I mentioned, it's always my job after receiving a story to put to assemble all the evidence and put it together into a video that hopefully can convince those with ears to hear and eyes to see that there's truth to the story. So this story required a ton of research, but surprisingly, everything I found was openly available to the public. It just took knowing the story to put all the pieces together. So though back in 2021, when the series was first produced, I was not able to find high-res footage in many cases of the supporting evidence I was finding. So that's sadly, embarrassingly low-res in the version of the story that's out there. I regret that, but I was able to find the empirical evidence. As embarrassingly low-res the footage was, it was there. And I believe it proves the story I was given.
And
So,
I just want to, when you say low res, you mean low resolution, right?
correct. Yes.
Okay, so the quality of the film is just not the best. Is that what you mean?
Right. I would find like other people's videos who were pointing out things about the story that, pieces about, it's like I found all the pieces from different videos, and their videos would be low res. So thus my footage of these 4 parts of this series is sometimes embarrassingly low resolution. And I didn't realize that until I watched it last night in preparation for this podcast.
Makes sense. Okay, well, thanks for at least giving us a heads up, but we get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I think there were a couple of things that kind of reached out to me or found interesting. And when you think about that trip that President Kennedy took back in 1963, be it I was only 4 years old, I'm just looking back on what I've done on my own research on it. I have found that there were thousands of people along the routes wherever he went during that trip to Dallas. And, from the airport to other places he went to. But it's interesting, on that grassy knoll and that part of that particular roadway, there were very limited spectators. And I think the people who perpetrated this did that by design, to keep as many witnesses as possible that could see this staged event that was about to happen. And I thought that was always compelling. When you think about it, you look at other footage of him coming from the airport, it's just thousands of people lining the roadways. And then you get to this event and there's hardly anybody around. It doesn't make any sense. So it's obviously contrived that way. But that was one of my observations. I don't know if you've ever seen that or.
Well, I'll tell you what, after a couple more slides, we'll be going to a video, and in the video there's a segment in it that has a chap named Chauncey Holt, and he was there that day, and he was in a parking lot that was like private. You had to have a key to get into it, and he had a key, and he had gotten into that parking lot to put something in a truck. He was told, he didn't know. It's like the silos, he didn't know what his part was doing. He was told to make up a bunch of fake IDs and for Secret Service agents, and he put all those into a satchel and then put them into a truck and then walked out of that area. But that area, that parking lot, is right adjacent to the grassy knoll. And there's even the video shows, it's not in here, it's not included because it wasn't part of the of what we were talking about in this video. But he's saying that he saw assassins that he knew because he was a mobster, and he had met these people and he saw them in their cars, like talking on radios and stuff. And he knew they were high paid, very efficient sniper assassins. And so they were there that day. And that, like I say, that area where they were shooting from was fenced, and they were shooting from over that fence. I know that Phil had a different story. I guess his story could also be true, but that I wasn't given anything about Phil Godlewski's story that you shared with me yesterday on the phone.
Right. And just for audience sake, a truther, a podcaster, did a full-length film on the assassination of JFK, and his perspective was that the assassin and the kill shots came from manhole cover, a manhole in a sewer location in the roadway, and the trajectory was going upward from the road level, and antithetical and opposite of the supposed shots coming from the book repository and from Oswald. So yeah, no, all good, Jetson, all good. So
right. Well, the footage, the Zapruder footage, there'll be a little bit of that in the video upcoming. It shows the infamous frame 313 shows that a sniper bullet came from the front because his head was jerked back, but it was coming from like kind of above, and it hit him right like in the center of the head and literally just blew the top of his skull off. So that was that's what the press labeled the kill shot, but it was not the kill shot. The first shot fired was the kill shot, and that's what I'm going to talk about today.
Got it. Okay, sounds great.
So let's put up slide number 3.
Okay.
Great. I hope people can see this. Can you hit that plus button and make it bigger? Yeah, good.
Better? Yeah.
Yes. So since the 2021 version was posted in 2021, a 2024 update was also produced, and that's the one that's out on the channels right now. But if you watch it on YouTube, be aware that you'll be presented with graphic violence warnings on parts 2 and 4, even though there's not 1 nanosecond of footage that portrays violence in the entire series. I didn't even include frame 313 that we just discussed because I think that is glorifying their horrific deed, they being the CIA mobsters. So I don't like to glorify it, and I don't like to see it. So I will never put that scene in any of my videos about JFK.
Yeah, it's funny, not funny, it's sad, but these monsters love to show the gore and the horror of it because it in the psyop of it all, as well as what they accomplished or what they believe they accomplished, which was taking JFK out. They show the whole world what they'll do to anybody who opposes them. And as graphic and as monstrous as it looks, it has more of an effect on the psyop of getting people to back down and be afraid that this could happen to them or their loved ones at any time, and that these monsters could do this at any time. It's a horrible thing to see. I hate watching it. I hate seeing JFK as a victim. It drives me crazy. It's, this powerful saint of a man in an environment of being such a victim. It's so hard. But anyway, I get it. Yeah.
Right. All right. So be aware, if you watch on YouTube, that'll come up. You can just click right through it. Okay. So go to slide 4, Jeff. All right. This is the famous Q703 drop, the JFK prayer said in the Oval Office every morning. And it says, "Rest in peace, Mr. President, JFK. through your wisdom and strength. Since your tragic death, patriots have planned, installed, and by the grace of God, activated the beam of light. We will forever remember your sacrifice, etc. All right. So that is, when you take that drop at face value, Q703 states that JFK sacrificed his life for this country. And that is the story and message I was given. And so it's the premise of the expose series. That's what it's based on, that JFK actually died, gave his life for this country. So, Jeff, I'd like to start this by showing a video that I made just for this podcast. It's 7 minutes long. It's got some new higher res Zapruder footage and some new evidence that backs up my story from a CIA mobster who was 187 8 days after he divulged it in this interview.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can get this video to work.
Here comes the magic, Jeff's magic.
We'll see. Nope, it's not picking up. Why is it not picking it up? Share. Let me try this again. It should pick it up. It's part of my screen.
You want me to send it again?
Wait. Let's try this.
All right. There it is.
All
Cool.
right.
All right. Can we make that any bigger with that, that thing? And we need sound. You've got your sound unblocked. There you go. All right. That's fine.
Please bear with me.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Great. All right, now I'll just shut up. Let the video talk.
Okay.
Very few people know the incestuous relationship that existed and probably exists at the moment between these various very powerful elements: organized crime, intelligence community, the political and powerful business interests.
About the same time of the New Orleans episode with Oswald, Chauncey received an unusual order from the Texas gun dealer.
In the summer of 1963, we received an order, I guess you'd call it an order, or a request from a gunsmith in Dallas, but they said buy these existing, buy these guns. They had us doing a lot of chronograph work on them, measuring muzzle velocity and that sort of thing. The two guns I had were very unusual. One gun was a shorty 45. It was a 45 that was just simply cut down. They had taken all national match parts. They cut down the slide. They cut down the grip. They cut down everything about it. Otherwise, it was just like any other 45, except had a hell of a kick. And that was one, and of course, it was hard chromed, and it was very, very unusual gun. I would probably $2,500, $3,000 worth of gunsmithing in it. The other gun that I had was technically it was a Simmerling L22. It wasn't a semi-automatic. What you had to do, you'd fire a shot, and then you'd rack it, fire again, rack it, like that. But it was and of course, it was accurate up to about 25 yards and had one hell of a kick.
Up right past Maple, that's John F. Kennedy Drive.
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Marty inquires as to the location of Doc Brown's house, learning that he lives on John F. Kennedy Drive, or John F. Kennedy Drive, as in the car, the drive, the motorcade during his assassination.
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Mother, with Marty's parents out of town, don't you think he ought to spend the night? I mean, after all, Dad almost killed him with the car.
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Killed him with the car. Killed him with the car.
That's John F. Kennedy Drive.
Killed him with the car.
You there?
Yeah, is that it? Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
end of
that's
the
it.
video.
Yeah. Now I kind of, like put some stuff out there that's in the definitive expose that we haven't talked about. But now I want to go back and talk about the different things that were shown in the video.
Okay. Okay.
And we've got some more slides, of course.
Yep.
So I don't need a slide right now.
Okay.
So
I'll leave it just for the sake of it, though, if that's all right.
Oh, what do you got?
Well, the next slide. No, I'm good. I'll just
Oh.
hold for you until you're ready for the next one.
All right, great. So that opening Zapruder footage is not part of the new evidence that I'm presenting today. But this fact is Zapruder was from the Ukraine. So even back in the 60s, Ukraine was a deep state hub for major money laundering, trafficking, and all forms of evil activities. So it was probably quite easy for the CIA to find this Zapruder chap, however many years ago, because this was in planning for quite a while, and set him up as a businessman in Dallas. Now, I also know that Zapruder died 7 years after the Dallas event. So it says from stomach cancer. But I also know that the CIA does not like these people to live into their old age because they might decide on their deathbed to say something. And that Chauncey chap that just told us about what he was studying with the muzzle velocity of these pistols, he was offed right after he did that video. So take it for what it is. So also go ahead.
Just real quick, Jetson, I just want to spell that Zapruder, right? So Zapruder. That was the name of this gentleman who supposedly had this home video of the event, correct?
It was an 8mm video, and I believe the CIA set him up with the camera, told him exactly where to stand to film, and I proved that in the expose.
Now, also, didn't it take many years before this film surfaced? It didn't surface like that day or the next day. It was years later, wasn't it, or no?
Right. It's like what happened was Life magazine got an exclusive, and so they published photos. So they were always associated with the JFK, exclusive on the photos of the JFK thing. And you're right, it took a while for the film to emerge. Now, I don't know the exact date of when it did emerge, but most people had seen some footage of it on television shows and things.
Okay, makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Okay, where to next?
Oh, and by the way, that's how I prove that Zapruder was a CIA asset, because of the Life magazine reporter who gives an interview and just everything he says is an obvious lie, and I have the the evidence to prove it. So, all right. So, also pointed out in that video, in the very first opening scenes, was that President Kennedy was waving. One moment he's waving to the motorcade watchers before disappearing behind that highway sign. And then when he emerges, he's moving both hands, balled up into fists, up to his throat. And his head is hung over like this. And this is because he's just being hit in the throat by the kill shot. And that kill shot came from a gun embedded in the limo's extra wide seat back. We're talking, dude, you've never seen a seat back this wide. It's like this wide.
And Jetson, if I may, the way this limo was configured is basically 3 rows. And what you're describing is the seat back between the front row, which is the driver row, and the next seating area.
No. All the way to the back where Kennedy was. And I've got a slide for that. So hold on. Let's see. Where are we? Yes. Slide 5. If you could pull up slide 5. Perfect.
Yep. Go to slide 5.
Okay. Could you maybe make it a little bigger? I guess you don't have much room to, do you? I guess you can't. Oh, okay. That's good. Great. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So what I did basically was I showed where the kill shot would have come from. And it goes, I'll just go start at the lever and work my way back. All right. So there's the lever. Can you see that? Do you have that bar over the lever like mine does?
It may, if I made it a little smaller. Let's see if I make it a little smaller.
Yeah, do that.
There you go.
Good. Okay. So there's the lever. That's not size proportionate. It's outside the driver's window. And that goes down, down the side of the door, down through the flooring, and up into the back seat, which is absolutely huge. I'm talking at least that wide, which is unusual. It might even be wider because, you can't really tell with photos, but it's the widest back seat I have ever seen, anyone's ever seen. You've got this firing mechanism that was created just for this event. And then you've got a pistol in there that's pointed right at JFK's throat. And you're saying, well, how can you point a pistol at his throat? You don't know where he'll be sitting. Well, yes, you do, because there's about 30 photos. I'm exaggerating, but there are many, many photos in the series showing that JFK always sat in the exact same place. Every time he was riding in a car, he always sat just hugging that corner, that right-hand corner, in that same position, no matter who he was riding with or where, what car it was. That was his place. And so it's almost like, he knew, I feel like he knew it was going to happen, and he needed it to happen. And the video describes this, but I'll go ahead and say this. He knew they were trying to kill him. And like that slide says earlier in the video, it says, I know there's a God and I see a storm coming. And if there's a place for me, I'm ready. He was ready. And I kind of lost my train where I was going there.
Well, let me just jump in just for a second. So you're basically saying the CIA custom fit or placed this sawed-off Glock 17, interestingly enough, 17,
yes,
a pistol in the seat back, which is the seat that separates the driving compartment from the guests that sit in the second and third rows. And now this had to get past the other passenger in the second level of the compartment where people were sitting. And that's Conley, right? That was, okay. The
Conley,
governor of Texas, right? So did he have to move out of the way?
Yes, and he did.
Okay.
If you heard sniper shots, what would you do?
You would duck.
You'd go down to the floorboard.
Right.
What he does, his wife's sitting to his left. He leans back like this and lets that bullet go by. The seats are super low in that second row. They're like baby child seats, and that way the pistol had clearance over the second row if Connolly went back like this. And that's exactly what he does. And there's several images of him doing that. The resolution is very poor though.
Right.
But you can see it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. And you're saying the lever is basically the trigger. So the driver has the trigger on the car post or somewhere to the left part of where the steering wheel is configured into the.
It's on the outside of the car. And let's see. Let me see if one of our slides is that. Yes. Let's go ahead and run it to the next slide 6.
Slide 6. All right. Give me a moment to find slide 6 because it's towards the end. I'm going to go through these pretty quick.
Okay. There it is. There,
wait,
you just passed it. Yeah.
This one. Okay. Yes. So you're saying it's on the outside on the window post or that pillar, the A pillar for the car.
Where like the rear view mirror is, that area.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then if I remember, you also suggest that the flag on the front of the limo normally is further closer to the front fender. But in this particular event, they moved the flag a little further back towards the A pillar to hide that trigger. Is that true or not?
Well, I saw some. See, the thing about the lever, this is the best picture I'm so proud of this picture because, with the new interest in JFK, this came out and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's that lever. And because every time I would try to get it, the car's moving. So I'd have to stop the screen and try to get a good clear image. And it was really hard. So this shows that it's obviously a lever. I mean, what else could it be? You don't have something like that on your car. What would it be for? It's a lever.
But what's also weird is, I don't know if you're going to address it. If I'm jumping the gun, I'll stand down. But stand down is an interesting concept.
Yes.
Where was the Secret Service protecting him along the sides of the cars? Why wouldn't they have seen an anomaly of this weird thing? I mean, that's not that obscure, that little that trigger thing. It's not that little, actually. It's, right. I mean, I don't know. It's probably 4 or 5 inches long. I mean, maybe the size of a cell phone. Maybe it's a little smaller. But like what's going on with the Secret Service? They're told to stand down when they made that turn. And then you see the Secret Service in your video, which is fabulous, by the way. And we'll talk about that when you shut the Secret Service guys were told to stand down, to step back, because they were running alongside of the car like they should have been.
Right. Yes. See, that's another thing.
Just real quick. This just reminded me of something. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I don't want to lose this thought. I remember a movie they did with Clint Eastwood when he was an older Secret Service guy and he wasn't sure. I mean, there was some corruption based in it. I can't remember what movie that was. And maybe, we'll get it in the comments and I'll have to figure it out. But I remember they made a big deal about him running alongside a car with the president in the car, whatever president in the movie he was protecting, and he was getting too old. He wasn't sure if he could do it. I remember that was a controversy in the movie. I wonder if that was calling out some of this stuff, because we know the movies tell us everything, like Back to the Future has so much disclosure in it. I wonder if that movie had disclosure in it too, but I digress. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fascinating. The flag thing, though, back to your original question, I saw that in some footage on that day. I knew it was that day's footage because you could see who was in the car. But it's like I put it in the video and then I realized, well, I never saw that again. It was just in that one segment. So it's kind of it's almost like kind of misleading because you can't really see the flag. But I did see it in some other footage. Maybe they decided that the driver couldn't see well enough and they changed it. I mean, they're easily moved to another place, evidently. So there's that. Yes. And why didn't the Secret Service see this strange object attached to the car? And the whole thing is that the Secret Service were not allowed to do their job that day. And they're also corrupt Secret Service. And they're also CIA posing as Secret Service. That was part of what Chauncey had to do that day of the assassination, was provide about 15 of these Secret Service credentials. And they changed the color of their little lapel button on a regular basis. So they had to wait to the last minute to find out what color they'd need for that day. So he got all that done. And so some of those Secret Service probably weren't Secret Service after all. And my guess would be the one who was telling them to stand down because, he's like, well, what's up with this? He's like putting his arms up like, why can't we go? But yet he doesn't seem too concerned about it, even though that's his main job, is to protect the president. He's just like, well, what can we do? We got to stand down.
No, it makes sense. I've got 2 comments to that. The first is in the TV show now that's released on Hulu. It's called Paradise. And in the movie, the main character is a Secret Service agent protecting the president.
Oh.
And you see, they are dedicated. They do not stand down when the president or is in any threat. They don't even care what the orders are. They are dedicated in they basically are on their own, and you can see that. But the movie I was referring to is called In the Line of Fire, and it was produced in 1993, Clint Eastwood, and it was about a veteran Secret Service agent who was on the job in Dallas as a young man when JFK was assassinated. So there is a link there. I got to get back into that movie and watch it and understand what that was all about. But I think that was exposing what was going on. But I digress. Again, sorry about that. I just had.
Well, bringing that up has. Go ahead.
If they were real Secret Service agents, they would have never stood down. You're right.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I never really put that together. He was making all those Secret Service pins and IDs and all that. I bet you every one of those Secret Service agents on that detail that day were CIA agents.
Yeah, but again, it raises the question, and this goes to my theory, which I'll elaborate later, is that where were the real Secret Service agents? They would have never stood down. That's my point. They wouldn't have given up the duty for that day, but they did. And I think there's a reason for it, in my opinion, but we'll get to that later.
Okay. So let's see. So there's the lever. Let me see where we're at. That seat back, I bring it up a lot because it's just so unusually large, had to be wide so a gun could be rigged up inside it and fired by the pull of a lever outside the driver's window. And that high-res lever image we're looking at right now is a recent find, so it's not in the series. Just low-res levers are in the series. The lever attached to the car is shown several times in the series, but it's, never a clear image because I could find no unaltered still images of that side of the car on 11/22/63. So, in other words, I found some images of the car, that side of the car, but they were obviously altered. The gear on the driver's side there, they had both a rearview mirror and kind of like a police spotlight thing, when I saw the whole side and the lever. And they show a picture of the car, just, I don't know if it's driving by or sitting there. It looks like a still image. And that gear is removed. It doesn't even have a rear view mirror. Nothing's there. It's like, what? And it's like, it gets real bright right there. Like this is supposed to be like a sun glint hitting it there. That's how they pulled it off. So I just could not find any unaltered images. I found a few like what I'm saying. All right. So when you think about it, what else could that object on the side of the car be? The JFK Expose series will show you the signal given by the limo driver to his front seat passenger, who then signals the Secret Service, who we now know were actually CIA, to stand down just as the limo approaches the final turn of the parade route, which is onto Elm Street, which I call Sniper's Alley. I call it that because Elm Street is where the driver was instructed to drive as slow as he possibly could to keep the limo a steady target for the sniper's assassins and to keep it nice and smooth for that original kill shot from the back of the seat. So based on the driver's own admission, they have not testimony, but interviews with the driver, that's the opposite of what he should have been doing, just driving really, really slow thing, because he's now aware, he says, of that the president has been shot as well as Connolly. And so that final stretch of Elm Street led right to the expressway, Jeff. In other words, he should have been flooring it to get those men to hospital. Instead, he's driving like 5 miles an hour and even putting on the brakes. So if the president was dead, why did they need snipers? And there's a few reasons for that. First, they'd invested a lot of time and effort into setting up a patsy, Lee Harvey Oswald, who would then be said to have fired at and killed the president from the book depository. Second, because the shot to the throat was a secret and not visible. So they needed a public display of him being shot and killed. That's what the snipers were for. They didn't kill him. They just hid the evidence that he was already dead. The other new evidence is more subtle. It came from the Chauncey Holt video, the interview featured in the short video. And the video showed up, that video of Chauncey Holt just showed up in my feed, and I was drawn to it because it contains some never before known info about the assassination. And that has to do with what I was telling you about earlier about that gated, that fenced area, that fenced parking lot where only probably CIA agents had a key and mobsters. So it was, it was like this place was a setup from the word go. It was like walking into like you said, a staged, onto a movie set. So Nazi and I watched the video, and then after that, I was so intrigued by it. I watched it several more times. And finally, I realized that the CIA was using Chauncey's training as a gun expert to determine what was needed, what weapon would be needed for their plan. And Chauncey's research, ordered by his mobster bosses, proved to the CIA that re-smithing an already manufactured gun would not work due to that kick he was always talking about. And that's when they found Gaston Glock in Austria. And the series goes into detail about how this Glock chap suddenly started designing award-winning pistols with no prior experience, and then started raking in millions after being granted the contracts to provide guns for every police force in America and even the FBI. So, Jeff, are you familiar with Glock guns?
I own a Glock. I have a Glock 43 that I carry when I do concealed carry. I am familiar, and they're everywhere. And most police, units, everybody carries a Glock, and even police who get it as ordered as part of their equipment, they even have personal series of Glocks. So yeah, it's a very common pistol or handgun, I should say.
I'd say Glock was rewarded generously for his role in the assassination.
Yeah, so you're saying then this Chauncey guy designed it and Glock built it.
No, Chauncey didn't design it. The CIA brought in probably, the best gun designers I could find and designed it. But Chauncey, what he did was he did the study to find out if you could use either a modified gun that had, he said, like $3,000 worth of smithing done to it to try to get it smaller. And he didn't know why he was doing what he was doing. I believe that he didn't know what he was in a silo and he was just doing what he was told. That's the way the mob works. They keep everyone in a silo, and this guy doesn't know what this guy's doing in case this guy gets caught, right? Then he doesn't know. So he was doing like research on ballistics and on trying different bullets in the guns, like taking a certain bullet and stuffing it into a different bullet casing. He was doing all sorts of stuff. And also with muzzle velocity is one of what he mentioned in this video. So he did not design the gun, but he gave the CIA the information they needed to design a gun that would work for this situation.
Got it.
And see, I'd never had that evidence before I watched that video, and I was like, why am I so compelled by this video? It was like it haunted me. I had to watch it over and over and over, and finally it hit me that that's what was going on. I was being shown what was behind the scenes on how they were able to, why they needed Glock, and how they were able to manufacture a pistol that was designed specifically to be attached to a mechanism and fired by pulling the lever with no kickback. So show slide 7. Yeah. So this is the Q1440 flipped. And you see it looks very much like the Glock design of guns, very blocky, you know. And but the muzzle's not long like a Glock, so it's like a modified, one of a kind, sawed off. I call it sawed off. I doubt they, manufactured it and then sawed it off. But that's just a description that it's got a very short muzzle, so it can fit in that back seat. Or I'm sorry, in that front seat.
In the backing of the front seat. The seat
Right.
back of the front seat.
Yes.
So, it's funny when we saw this post, and we look at these Q posts all the time, and many people have analyzed it's the boom, 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 4 booms. Everybody's trying to determine what are those 4 booms? What do they mean? And I don't know if anybody's put this together, Jetson, like you have, where you've put this into this. It fits the narrative that you have created. It's incredible. I don't know how you figured this out.
Well, like I say, I'm given this information. It's just like it just comes to me, and I'm like, and I see it, and I go, oh my gosh, that is the story. Oh wow. So let's see. In the new evidence category, I've got a fantastic sync with the gems, which I call gematria, gems, doing the gems, on this purposely misspelled word in Q703. So show Q703, slide 8.
Okay, slide 8. Here we go. Slide 8.
There you go. So there's a purposely misspelled word there, or at least I feel it's purposely misspelled. And it says JFK, secret societies. Not societies, it says societies.
Mm-hmm.
So secret societies equals 169. And then where we go one, we go all in the yellow. And then up to the Great Awakening equals 169. So it's kind of like saying JFK to Q. It's full circle, dark to light.
Okay. And you believe that JFK knew this was, well, did he know that it was happening at this moment? Or, what's your theory on that? Or he just knew at some point this was going to happen?
I think he knew at some point, but I think after he got to Dallas and he saw the setup, he probably thought, yeah, this is probably the one. Because it was like a little snow globe, town in there. And like I say, it was like a stage, just like you said earlier.
Yeah, it's kind of strange the way that on Elm Street, it was all set up like that. And like I said, there were just tons of people everywhere else, but except there.
Right.
Also, wasn't there a series of murders on Elm Street? Wasn't there a series of that or something?
I remember something called Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, this was the Nightmare on Elm Street,
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So again, now, so you've done a 4-part series. You did this in 2021. This
Right.
came to you.
Originally,
Okay. And then you updated it in when?
2024.
2024. Okay. Sounds good. And folks can find this. Where can they find this?
Well, it's on both Jetson White channels, on Rumble and on YouTube.
Okay. Got it. It's a 4-part series, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So I guess that's it. There is one more piece, but you'll find it in the video in the expose. So I no need to share it really.
Well, if you'd like to, we have time, but I want to kind of make some commentary, if I may.
You bet.
Okay, let me do this. Let's see. I kind of wanted to, let's do this. Okay, so let me just double check. Okay, cool. All right. I'm going to do a slideshow here just for a moment.
Cool.
So again, this was the, I will maybe go for another, maybe 10 minutes at the most.
All right.
But this was the post that got me thinking when I saw this. Again, April 20th. And I believe that is JFK. That's the Purple Heart. And those are the Tiffany blue boxes that are sitting in front of both President Trump and President Kennedy. And the Tiffany blue box, what's the significance of that? Well, if you all remember, oftentimes you see Melania with Tiffany blue box. You see Trump with the box. Apparently, Diana, Princess Diana, there are photos of her with the Tiffany blue box. And the reference is, and I don't know if you know this or not, Jetson, but the reference is there is a blue rose that Jesus or Yeshua gave to Mary Magdalene, if I get this correct. And please forgive me, I'm not an expert on this, but it was a blue rose that he gave her to put in her hair. And she saved this blue rose. And then she escaped to Paris to hide from the people who were trying to take her out back in the day. And she created the Order of the Blue Rose. And that's the significance of those Tiffany blue boxes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, to show that, to show the deep state, we're on to you, buddies. We know about all this. Now, of course, the Purple Heart is the highest I don't know what a medal given to military, and he was a naval officer and saved the lives of his team and that whole story. And I don't know all the details of that story, but that's
you talking about PT 109?
Yep, that was back at PT-09 where he suffered a back injury during that whole process. And I'm wondering, Jetson, if that's why he always sat in the back corner of a limo, because it made his back feel better. It maybe supported him a little bit better because of his back injuries. But I don't know for sure. But I digress. So that's the significance of this particular post. But why now is what's interesting. And why was the Secretary of the Navy, fired, and they bring in this Hung Cao is his name, H-U-N-G, and then C-A-O.
Right, I saw
Asian gentleman, military gentleman who made a career in the military, in the Navy, and also was the gentleman who was on the search for JFK Jr.'s body and his plane when it went down in 1999. There's too many links to that, but okay, let's move on. So then the next thing I wanted to look at was, and I just wanted to amp this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better.
Sure.
Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so there's a theory out there that there's quite a resemblance between JFK and President Carter, Jimmy Carter. And I don't know about you, but I'm 67. So I remember back in the 70s, and I wasn't really a big study of politics, not really into it. But where did this Jimmy Carter guy come from? Just appeared on the scene from nowhere. Now, I understand it was a horrible presidency. I get that. And it set up the Reagan presidencies and all that. But there's something weird about that presidency and about this gentleman, where he came from. Now, I do know he had handlers. Brzezinski was his handler. He was part of the Trilateral Commission. He wasn't just this peanut farmer. This guy, there's a lot of different theories about President Carter and who he was. And he wasn't this idiot, or was he a genius? Who the hell knows? And then, of course, they built the story that he did the Habitat for Humanity, and he ended up being this sweetest gentleman of ever. But the weirdest thing is, during the George Herbert Walker Bush funeral, all of the ex-presidents got that envelope. That was the message that I'm sorry, it was supposedly this evildoer, Bush Sr., who was sending a note, giving a note to all of his minions, his sons, and the first wives, and Biden, and Obama, and all them. They were given this note that said, basically, we're on to you. Clinton, can't leave them out, right? The only ex-president that didn't get an envelope was Carter, right? Why? I don't know. But if you look at this, now I focus on certain things. I'm a dentist by training, right? I can't zoom it in. I tried. I don't think I can do it. Let me see if I can. I wonder if I could make this a little bit. No, I can't. I don't know how to make it bigger. But if you look at JFK's, his left upper canine and the position of Carter's upper left canine, they're in identical positions.
Okay.
You can't make this stuff up. I know the earlobes and things like that. Now, granted, I guess you could put a mouthpiece in these guys. I know there's all these sophisticated masks and stuff, but there's just too many coincidences. Now, let me move on. Next slide here. Let me just bring this. So now, I don't know about this, but I found this also. And the odd part about this is it's diagonally working. So the youth pictures below are flipped. So, John Kennedy's on the left, on the upper, but on the lower, he's on the right. So I don't know why they did that. But even the eyes, now they're not quite the same shape necessarily, but the right eye is almost in the same position in both of the lower films. It's kind of weird. And again, this could be AI. I don't know for sure, but there's too many resemblances here that's kind of freaking me out. I'm not sure. So I wanted to bring that up. And then there's another theory that not only was it that JFK was President Jimmy Carter, but that Jackie was Rosalind Carter. Rosalind Carter.
All right.
I can't amp this up, but this is also potentially suggesting that she played Marilyn Monroe. I don't know if that's true. I find it hard to make that connection. I don't see as much resemblances, but maybe they use masks. I don't know.
Yep.
But nonetheless, I wanted to raise this, that Rosalind, I think was her name, Rosalind Carter. And there's a link there that maybe the couple played this throughout through those years in the 70s, the late 70s.
Oh, I see. So Rosalind was Jimmy Carter's wife.
Correct.
Okay.
Rosalind Carter, and that was actually Jackie Kennedy was playing the role of Rosalind Carter. Right. Okay. That's the other theory that's out and about. I don't know. Just kind of throwing it out there.
Right.
So my theory is let me just see. Do I have anything else? Oh, and then of course I just wanted to call this out too. That and I know it's in your video, but I just thought it was so compelling that right at, I think it was 1:48 when they made the announcement, they broke into CBS News, and then Walter Cronkite came out and interrupted As the World Turns. This was the screen, and it showed CBS News bulletin, right?
Yep.
And I know this is in your video, and I really would encourage all of you, if you have interest, you got to dive deeply into this and watch Jetson's presentation on this, those 4-part series. It's fabulous, and it's really interesting, intriguing, and it goes really fast and well done. But it was kind of interesting, and of course, the opposite not the opposite, but then the actual Q post, and then when you flip it, of course, it looks like the sawed-off gun or the shorter version of the gun. So anyway, I just think this is extremely interesting. And see, my theory, Jetson, has been, and we can end soon. I'd love your input on this, but my theory is that the Q movement, and people who have watched some of the Pat and Jeff shows, I've made these statements before. I've also made the statement calling into Dave newsreason show on the call-in shows on Friday night, that the Q movement couldn't possibly have started when President Trump came down the escalator in 2016. Some people suggest it might have started during the second Obama presidency in 2012. I don't think that's enough time to set up the takedown of the cabal. The cabal has been doing this for centuries, setting us up with the resets of Tartaria and all this other stuff, and taking out all of these, all these heroes and patriots over the years. This Q movement had to have started way back, and I believe it started back with Lincoln. That's my belief. I think Lincoln was probably the first, quote, Q. And here's the parallel. I think the Lincoln assassination was made up also. I think it was designed to get the deep state off of him so that he could do what he had to do. And I believe in the Lincoln-Clooney bloodline, where JFK is a part of he's a descendant of Lincoln. And I think that story about Libya and all that kind of stuff happened. I think back in 1963, they knew this was happening. They set the deep state up and allowed them to do all these things. And I think there was a body double in that car at that time. And I don't know who it was. I don't know how they did it, but I do not believe, or it really was Kennedy. And they used the squibs and other things like they did with the Charlie Kirk assassination. That was also fake. I believe Charlie Kirk, it was just so fake and so gory. It was a reproduction of the JFK in some way to get, everything has to be done twice. I think that's what's happened there. I know it sounds so bizarre, but that's kind of where my head's at. And I'm probably going to bring some more light to this maybe in the next week or so in a little bit more detail, but we'll see if I can put that together. So, Jetson, any thoughts about that absurd, crazy theory?
Well, first time I've heard it, so I'll just wait and see if anything comes around that might support it and see how it goes from there. One point I wanted to make is the official announcement that JFK was dead came at 12:29 Central Time, which would be 1:29 Eastern Time.
Oh, okay. So they cut into as the world turns at maybe at 1:48.
Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, by the time they did it, it might have been Eastern time. I don't know. So I don't know if those times worked out, but it's not significant. It was just it was just
because numbers are significant to me. It is, and even JFK Jr. Says that. 107 says that 1:29 is the Eastern time.
Oh, fair enough. Got it.
Announcement of the death. Now, the first announcement was that he had been shot. They were saying, giving you hope that he was still alive. And then they came back at 12:29 and said he's dead. Central time. I thought I had something to say about something you said, but now I was so busy saying that I forgot what it was.
Well, that's all good. I just dropped this on you in the middle of all this. So that's kind of been the way I look at this, and I think it's a lot of hoping that's built into it. You hear the theory that it started with JFK, it'll end with JFK Jr.
Right, that's where I was going.
Right. And I think there's a lot to be said with that.
Yeah.
But I believe JFK was still with us. I don't know if he still is, because his age would make him probably 106. I don't know. He'd be really older now, obviously. But that photo that Trump posted shows an older gentleman, but there's no indication of when it was taken. Mm-hmm. Could have been 2016, 17, who knows, so that's already 10 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah. Crazy.
I know. So Jetson, anything else you'd like to add before we shut down here? Anything else you'd like to?
Just my great appreciation to you for inviting me on the show and for supporting my channels. Thank you very much, and I do the same for yours.
Oh no, sure, it's my pleasure, and it's just amazing. Your points of view, the research that you do is just amazing, and I give a lot of kudos to that because I don't have the talent to do that. I can't dive deeply into things. I don't think that way. I just, I'm kind of above the surface, but broadly, I can't dive deep. And I think people like yourself are just so gifted and talented and able to do that. And I encourage everyone to view Jetson's, find him on either the Rumble channel or the YouTube channel. Find this series and view it. It's very interesting to see, and you make a compelling argument for your position. And I think there's a lot to be said for it. I think it's all true. My own opinion is that there was somebody else in that car at the time. It wasn't JFK, but who knows? Again, who knows? And Jetson, I wouldn't be surprised if we have you back soon, if you're willing to come back.
I got something to say. I'll come back.
Sounds great. Again, thank you, Jetson, and thank you, everyone. And we'll see you all next time.
All right. Bye, Jeff.